The entire world can be thought of in terms of opposites. Everything in the world has an opposite: heat and cold, light and dark, pleasure and pain, joy and sorrow, honor, dishonor. Everything in life has an opposite. From a young age, we start to decide which of these opposites we prefer. I like warm weather. I don't like cold weather. I like morning. I don't like evening. I like joy. I don't like sorrow. I like this type of food and I don't like a different type. I like spicy food. I don't like not spicy food. I like hot food. I don't like cold food. Constantly throughout life, we choose what we like and run away from or try and avoid what we don't like. And some of the things that we like are beneficial to us, but usually most of the things that we like and are attracted to tend to be detrimental for us in the end. We like sweets, candy, cake, and we don't like a bland dessert. If you eat too much sugar or too many sweets, you end up with cavities in your teeth, diabetes toward later on in life. It's just not beneficial for you. And we try and teach this to children by telling them that they can only have, by rationing their sweets, they can only have a certain amount. Every now and then, maybe Halloween, we let them go all out and have as much as they want. But generally, we try and convince the children of this, even though we don't understand for ourselves the meaning or the purpose of avoiding what we like, or at least thinking about what we like, considering what the repercussions might be. It could be very obvious in the situation of a child wanting more sweets, that if they have too many sweets and they continue out throughout life to indulge in sweet food, they'll be in trouble health-wise later on in life. But when it comes to our own adult lives, we tend to take for granted that we deserve to do what we like and avoid what we don't like, without thinking about how that pattern of living, avoiding what we don't like and going after what we like, how that pattern of living might affect us in the long term, how it might be detrimental to us. So when it comes to things that we like, no one is saying that you shouldn't have what you like. But instead of blindly jumping into, immediately going after what you like, try to step back and think for a moment and think of what the repercussions of following what you like might be. There might be some detrimental result of constantly having that thing that you like and avoiding what you don't like. And if you find yourself avoiding something because you don't like it, whether it be medicine or going to the dentist or whatever it might be, if there's something you don't like, you have a strong dislike for it, it would help to think about it, to try and consider what the benefits of going against your dislike might be. What could you benefit by dealing with your dislike, by learning to withstand the discomfort of what you don't like? When I was in India, they used to serve a certain vegetable which they called karela, and it's a very bitter dish. It's a very bitter vegetable. Nobody in America in their right mind would go for that vegetable and choose it. Not only does it have a bitter taste, but it leaves a lingering feeling of disgust in your mouth. But apparently it's so healthy. And in an attempt to try and get people to eat it, there are lots of ways that are employed to try and mute the taste of how bad it tastes, how sour and how bitter it tastes. It's amazing the lengths that people will go to. They put sugar into it, honey, or they fry it up real thin like a potato chip and just char the nutritional value right out of it. They go to all kinds of lengths just to try and ingest this very healthy vegetable called karela. And at the ashram where I lived for several years, they would sometimes serve it as a side dish. You could easily get satiated from the other food that was served that day, but it was an opportunity for you to experiment with stomaching or being okay with eating this very bitter vegetable. And they barely made any alterations to it when they cooked it. It was pretty much as bitter as it would be if you ate it raw. So they were preserving the nutritional value and at the same time giving the students an opportunity to try and develop a taste for this bitter vegetable. So we can take a page out of that book and think about what distasteful or disdainful thing we don't like that might have beneficial results. Is there something we don't like to do? Do we dislike exercise? Do we dislike going to the gym or waking up early? These things could have very beneficial results, but you need to think about these possibilities to try and decipher what beneficial result you might achieve to motivate yourself into being able to stomach what you dislike. And there's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita toward the end, in the 18th chapter, that loosely translates into what is nectarine in the beginning becomes poisonous in the end. And in the next verse, what is poisonous in the beginning becomes nectarine in the end. In other words, most things that you don't like have some beneficial outcome if you can stomach the discomfort of doing what you don't like. And most things that you like end up being very detrimental to you in the long run. So it takes effort and thought and foresight to think ahead and see the benefit of doing what you don't like or stomaching what you don't like and setting aside what you like for the benefit of passing on it, of not indulging in what you like. That doesn't mean you should only do what you dislike and never do what you like, because you don't want to be a frustrated person. So the idea is to try and carefully, very carefully, try and incorporate what you don't like and try and reduce what you like, and thereby try and improve your life. And as the Bhaja Govindam says, Kurva Vadhanam Mahadhavadhanam. You need to perform this with care, with great care. Kurva Vadhanam Mahadhavadhanam.